Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me, sang Harry in a loud, cheerful voice. He pushed his hat back onto the back of his head and sang again. Happy birthday, dear Harry. Happy birthday to me. Police Constable 5601 Harry Evans was driving back to the police station along the country roads of West Yorkshire. He was a short, round man with a friendly face and a cheerful smile. People liked him. Harry drove through a small village and continued along the quiet country road. He drove round a corner and stopped. There was something in front of him. Something big, very big. And it wasn't really on the road. It was about 1 meter above the road. It wasn't doing anything. It was just there. A huge, round thing bigger than a bus, about 1 meter above the road. Harry stared. What's this? What's happening here? He thought. What is it? He closed his eyes for a moment. Am I dreaming? He thought. Things like this don't happen. He opened his eyes again. The thing was still there. It was round and silver, wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. The bottom half was moving round very slowly, and now Harry could see lights in it. Yellow, green, blue, now yellow again. They shone like stars. He watched them. He felt very excited. Harry turned his engine off and opened the window. It was raining, but there was no sound. No sound at all. No people, no cars. He turned on his radio. PQ to DC, he said. PQ to DC, come in, please. But the radio did not answer. It did not make a sound. Harry watched the thing carefully. That, he thought, thing very, very strange. Something from another world, perhaps. It's a spaceship, or something like it. I'm going to get out and look at it. But Harry did not get out of the car. He couldn't move. Suddenly he felt very afraid. He put his hand over his eyes. What's the matter with me? He thought. What's happening to me? He stared at the spaceship again. It didn't look dangerous, but perhaps it was. Harry stared. After a few minutes, Harry found his notebook and wrote down the time and place. 5:15 p.m., 1 kilometre outside Little Ashwell on the Castleford Road. Then he drew a careful picture of the spaceship. But how can I draw the lights? He thought. He watched them again. They were changing quickly now. Blue, yellow, green, blue, yellow. They're beautiful, he thought. Like stars. He wasn't afraid now. He was excited. Here I am, he thought. Constable Harry Evans. I'm not important. Why me? I've seen a spaceship. On my birthday, too. I don't understand it. And who's going to believe? The lights changed faster and faster. And then Harry heard something. Somebody's singing, he thought. No, it wasn't singing or music. It was just a soft, quiet sound. and it was very beautiful. Harry smiled. He sat quietly and watched and listened. He felt very happy. He sat there for about 10 minutes. No cars passed, and no people. That's strange, he thought. Usually it's a busy road. Where is everybody? Suddenly, a bright red light shone under the spaceship. Harry put his arm in front of his eyes. The light was too strong. Again, the spaceship was not there. He looked up into the sky and saw a red light. It was moving very fast, much faster than... In 2 seconds, it appeared. Harry suddenly felt very tired and very sad. He got out of the car. It wasn't raining now. Wet from the rain, but in the middle of the road there was a big dry ring. He walked slowly across it. It was 10 meters wide. In the middle there was a small white ring. It was made of white powder. He put some of the powder in a paper bag. Harry stood up. There's a lot of noise now, he thought. He heard a car, and birds, and the sounds of children. A woman with a baby passed him and smiled. "Hello," she said. "Are you still here?" Yes," he said. He did not understand her. He was very tired and sad. I'm sure it was a spaceship, he thought. It wasn't a dream. A moment in my life. But why me? And why am I so sad now? I don't understand anything. He got into his car and drove away.
2. Harry's in trouble.
5 minutes later, Harry arrived at the police station and walked into the building. He passed his friend, Constable Jim Deacon. "You're in trouble, Harry," said Jim. "Where have you been? The inspector wants you. Now." Harry hurried to the inspector's office. I mustn't say anything about the spaceship, he thought. Nobody's going to believe me. Inspector Barker stood up when Harry came in. He was a big man with a hard, clever face. He did not smile very often. He was not smiling now. "Where have you been, Evans?" he said. "I wanted you here at 5:30, and it's now 6:30. Why?" 6:30? Harry looked at his watch. He was horrified. What happened? He thought. It was 5:15 when I saw the spaceship. I've lost an hour. He looked at the inspector. I'm sorry, sir, he said. "Sorry?" shouted the inspector. He was angry now. "That's not good enough, Evans. Why are you late? You went to Castleford about that stolen bicycle, and you left there at 5 o'clock, half an hour's drive from here. Where have you been?" I saw something on the road." The inspector sat down and stared at Harry. "Evans," he said, "I'm a busy man. I can't wait all night. What do you see on the road? A cat?" Harry felt unhappy. He never told lies. All his friends knew that. I say, he thought, it was a spaceship, and I saw it. I'm going to tell him. "Well, sir," he began. He told the inspector everything about the spaceship and showed him his picture. But he forgot about the powder. Inspector Barker put his feet on the table in front of him and looked at Harry. "You saw a spaceship," he said slowly. on the road to Castleford. And did the little men have green faces? He smiled, a kind smile. Harry looked hard at the wall above the inspector's head. I didn't see any little men, sir, he said, or green faces. Evans, said the inspector, this is a police station, and you're a police, not a lay. Go away, and don't tell me a silly story like that again. Later, Harry saw Jim Deacon again. Jim was a good friend. I heard all that, Harry, he said, about the spaceship. I was in the next room. Barker didn't believe me, said Harry sadly. I'm not surprised. People don't usually see spaceships on the road to Castleford. But I did. Today. Well, I believe you. I think, said Jim. Strange things can happen. I haven't forgotten that story about... This was... said Harry. It was... He stopped. He remembered the lights. And the music. No, it wasn't music. What was it? He felt sad again. Then he remembered the powder. He told him about the powder and showed him the paper bag. Jim was in. Why don't we send this down to the laboratory? He said. We don't have to tell Barker about it. I can take it down there tomorrow. Yes, all right, said Harry. Perhaps the scientists can tell us something about it. Barker has to believe them.
3. A strange story.
Jim Deacon knew Harry Evans well, and he liked him. He knew Harry was a good policeman. But it was a very strange story. I've heard some strange stories, he thought, but this is the strangest. Next day he took the powder to the scientists in the laboratory. Then he drove along the Castleford Road to well. He stopped his car 1 kilometre outside the village, got out, and looked at the road. There was no white powder on the road, just some old newspapers and a Coke bottle. Now what? Thought Jim. He pushed his hat to the back of his head and looked round. Everything looked ordinary. Birds were singing in the trees. Nothing happened. Then a woman with a baby came round the corner. She smiled at him. Hello, she said. Are you looking for your friend? Jim stared at her in surprise. Sorry, he said. I don't understand. The baby was crying, and the woman picked it up. You know, she said, the other policeman, the short one. He was here last night. Are you looking for him? Oh, no, not really, said Jim. But is he all right? All right? Yes, I think so. Why? Looked very strange last night, you know. I thought perhaps he was ill. Did he? Said Jim. That's very interesting. He took out his notebook. Tell me about it. What did you see him? Well, I saw him twice, in fact. I passed him when I was going to the shops at about 5, and then I came back at about 6:10. Jim thought for a moment. But what was the police doing when you saw him? Well, the first time, when I was going to the shops, he was just sitting in his car. I think he was drawing something. I was very near, but he didn't see me. And then, when I got to the end of the road, I looked back. He got out of his car, walked towards the middle of the road. He had his hands out in front of him, and a big smile on his face. It was very strange. Yes, Jim thought. That is strange. Harry didn't say anything about that. He looked at the woman carefully. And, did you see anything unusual on the road? The woman smiled. No, nothing. And you didn't hear anything? No, only the baby. When we left home, she was crying, but when we got here, she stopped and began smiling and laughing. She was pointing at something on the road, too. I didn't understand it. I looked, but there was nothing there, nothing at all. But she was very excited. I see, said Jim. But I don't see, he thought. I don't understand it at all. And then you saw the policeman again at 6:10. What was he doing then? He was standing in the middle of the road, answered the woman. I spoke to him, but he didn't understand me. He looked sad and tired. Are you sure? All right now? Oh, yes, said Jim. Yes, he's fine. Well, thank you. You've helped me a lot. That's all right, said the woman. She walked away. The baby was crying again. Jim walked up and down for a few minutes, but he didn't see anything. What did the baby see? He thought. And why is it crying now? Perhaps it's crying because it can't see the spaceship. Harry was happy when he saw it, and the babe at the same time. But why didn't the woman see it? He thought and thought, but he couldn't find an answer.